right, Black and White Network supporters. My goodness, what a tangled web we weave when we choose to vote Democrat. I don't know if you've noticed one thing that's in common with all of these. Let's check in on the urban S-holes littered around the country. They all vote on a local level at Democrat. In this particular case, they vote on a statewide level Democrat. And I'm talking about, of course, the socialist CCP known as California. That's right. You know, one of the most disturbing things I heard in a long time was somebody talking about somebody they knew that lived in California, and them just, they know they're voting for, socialist leaders, and they're okay with that. At least a lot are. All right? People forget, when they think of California, they think there's not a lot of conservatives out there. Guys, there's well over 1 million in one state. Okay? But that always gets lost in the situation because, they vote like this. This is November 8th, 2022, when Californians were trying, supposedly, to get Gavin Newsom out of office. Well, there was a lot of Republican votes. Look at that, 4.462 million that voted for a Republican versus Gavin Newsom, but still 6.4 million voted for Gavin Newsom. Presidential election, come over here. This is L.A. County, the county we're going to be talking about. They voted overwhelmingly, 71%, for Joseph Biden, Beijing Biden. And California as a whole, of course, was 65%. I will say this based on this right here. Is L.A. County going to look a lot more like this when we get around to the presidential election? Because if you notice, that is a lot. That's a 40.8% voted Republican versus 33% in the last presidential election. So anyway, that's just setting you up for this. As we know, crime is rampant in these Democratic areas like Chicago, like L.A., Los Angeles County, San Francisco, hell, parts of Dallas, and Austin for sure, Little California as we like to call it here in Texas, Houston. And all those places have Democratic mayors. New York, of course, is the other one, the other big one that is talked about. And one that's getting a lot of play today is D.C. because of carjackings of, I believe, a representative, a congressman from Texas, actually, come to think of it, that happened. And so this is what these radicals do. Much like Illinois, in and around Chicago as well, zero bail policy takes effect in L.A. County. I mean, what could go wrong here, folks? It's baffling what these people are voting for. Good luck to them, I guess. I mean, you reap what you sow, I suspect. Officially known as a pre-arraignment release protocols. Colorful, long, drawn-out names. The zero bail policy has been slammed by cops who believe it will undermine crime fighting. This is the Daily Mail. Of course it will. Zero bail was first introduced to combat overcrowding in the city's jails during the pandemic, but expired last summer. So don't worry, guys. That worked out so well. We defunded the police, and now crime is really rampant, so let's bring it back. That makes all the sense in the world. Why not? The new law becomes, as officials in L.A. say, organized crime and the pandemic-era zero cash bail is to blame for a recent, I assume that's supposed to say spike, of smash-and-grab raids, with robberies jumping 10% in the last year, nearly 580,000 larcenies, according to the police. God. Oh, Jesus. That's a Nordstrom store, by the way, right there. Let's just look. Yeah, that was the one that was very public. There is a Deputy Police Chief Alan Hamilton talking about, look at that. That's the looters right there in Nordstrom, just sauntering their way in and out, coming at as you go. I mean, why get in a hurry? Who's going to stop you? 12 counties, including Glendora, Lakewood, Arcadia, and Santa Fe Springs, sued the city on Friday in a last-minute attempt to block the law, and more expected to follow. Glendora Mayor Gary Boyer said, quote, "Our big hope would be to overturn the zero bail policy, or at least put a pause on it so that we have the ability to take a harder look at it and find out whether or not this is the right thing to do." You know, I understand this guy sued to block it, but if you even have to ask, is it the right thing to do, you're probably an idiot. I mean, you're devoid of, maybe you've got book smarts, but you're devoid of common sense. You know, the little things in life, the ability to possibly get in out of the rain might be an issue for you. I don't know. Because this is a bad idea. I can literally hear zero cash bail as a line. Somebody can say that, and I go, ooh, I cringe immediately. Ooh, that's a terrible idea. Especially in places where crime is rampant, like L.A. County. It's a bad idea. It's a horrible idea. It's a disastrous idea. My goodness. L.A. Police Department Chief Michael Moore has also spoken out about the policy, saying that approach offers little to no deterrence to those involved in a range of serious criminal offenses. The elimination of cash bail for these types of offenses is really an invitation to these kind of folks who are inclined to break the law and inclined to do so brazenly, warned Tom Sagu of the L.A. Police Protective League. L.A. County Supervisor Holly Mitchell has defended the new law. Good God. Saying it's really dangerous for us to conflate bail with accountability. Bail means I have the resources to pay my way out of jail. Rapper 50 Cent warned the city was finished after it announced it would reintroduce the policy earlier this summer. He spoke out after a judge in a Democratic-run city ruled that holding inmates to cash bail when they can't afford to pay was a violation of their constitutional rights. And you're a judge. How frightening is that line of thinking for one of your judges? Congratulations, you got a radical leftist progressive as a judge. LA is finished. Watch how bad it gets. Shaking my head, the hip-hop star said on social media. Oh, and this is where the plot thickens and standard operating procedure. And this guy, I keep telling people, I believe, I've said it for months, maybe up to a year. You guys have heard me say on this channel, Governor Gavin Newsom will be your Democratic runner for president, I believe. Governor Gavin Newsom has been a fierce defender of the move, claiming it would help root out racial inequity and structural bias. I'm raising my hand here. Yeah, me in the back. Is it possible you don't have enough structure? Question mark. In your state that's burning to the ground with crime? Just thought I'd point that out. We once again have the opportunity to make California a national leader in the unfinished fight for equality and justice, he said as he campaigned for the measure. He literally went out there campaigning for zero cash bail to be eliminated. That's your radical socialist at work, folks. Whew. Deputy Police Chief Alan Hamilton said that a September robbery of Nordstrom's store, which resulted in a theft of $300,000 in luxury good, was run by a crime group. A gang of more than 30 made off with $30,000 in good, $300,000 in goods in a robbery of Nordstrom in Topanga Mall in the city. I think that's the one closing now. Videos circulated online showed the thieves grabbing luxury brands like Burberry and some of them other rich brands I don't give a shit about, but still they shouldn't be stealing them. The gang also deployed bear spray to attack 2 security guards at the store, allowing them to cause chaos. Last week, a 14-year-old girl was among an organized gang of female looters arrested after the latest in a series of brazen daylight raids targeting stores in Southern California. She and her mentors did not even bother to disguise themselves as they ransacked a Nike store in Irvine, grabbing armfuls of clothing as they sauntered, they use my word, sauntered around before strolling unchallenged into the streets. Flash mobs involving as many as 50 people attacking stores in the Golden State have prompted the LAPD to form a task force. You need to militarize the police, but who can do it when you defund them? At the end of August, the task force, named the Organized Retail Crime Task Force, said they have made 11 arrests in connection with 4 cases. It is just like Chicago, okay? And some of these other cities. I mean, they've defunded / re-imaged because we don't like the negativity that comes with defunding the police. Well, if it's a good thing, there wouldn't be any negativity. Pointing that out, too, but, you know, God, give these... I've got clown hair to hand out to all these a-holes running these democratic cities. So, anyway, as these clowns are enacting things like this and then talking about inequity, what about your taxpayers? What about your law-abiding actual taxpayers that do care about the law? Now, in case you haven't been keeping up, California continues to have a mass exodus out of the state. Many of them went to Florida, where Ron DeSantis is at. One, because they went so radical with the pandemic, but 2, crime. And it's happening in a lot of Democratic-run cities and areas. Chicago, they're flooding out of. Zero cash bail. How's that going to work out for the economy out there? Are you just going to keep raising taxes so much that you're going to try to offset because California is like the most expensive place to live outside of New York City? All these people paying all this money and they keep voting Democrats so they can get cracked in the head with a bat when somebody's shopping for tuck swimwear in Target. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Zero cash bail. Turnstile. The criminals in and out. Right back out on the street. Oh, who was it? Kim Fox in Chicago said, oh, well, the first time one of these offenders do something, they're going to use this against us in their argument. And I said, you're damn right we are. And it was 4 days later, and it happened. 4 days later, and it happened after no cash bail went in effect in Illinois. Somebody that had been let out committed a violent crime. Unbelievable. Congratulations. It's crazy. But again, there's a lot of Republicans in California. Sometimes, you couldn't pay me any amount of money to live out there. Cost of living's one thing that would just knock me out of it. But number 2, it's these kind of policies that are nuts. And be very careful. Be very careful because this governor is going to run as the Democrat. It's their great white hype. Gavin Newsom. And he campaigned for no cash bail. Can you imagine the radical laws he would try to push into place? Oh, let me write some executive orders on my first day in office. Like Beijing Biden did when he first got into office and still was lucid enough to actually write. Wow. Tell me what you think, Black and White Network supporters. My goodness. Again, you're voting, you're walking out of your house and literally saying, I don't care about my family and friends and what happens to them. or myself. I don't value my life, my livelihood, how I live day to day, my quality of life, as long as I'm out there virtue signaling. How is that working out for the people in Michigan right now that are they're very radically Democrat? Rich folks are getting their house broken into by gangs, migrants. Just wondering. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.